Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. In a dramatic turn of events, tensions in the Middle East have eased as the United States and Iran agree on a ceasefire. But what's behind the sudden shift? Our top stories tonight take you through the implications of the truce, with President Trump praising Beijing's role, while clouds of uncertainty linger over the deal. We'll also explore reports of potential withdrawal, the White House's response to Strait of Hormuz closure claims, and the Senate's plan to vote on war powers resolution next week. As tensions ease following a landmark agreement between Iran and its regional adversaries, one world leader is praising Beijing's involvement in the historic truce. In a surprising twist, U.S. President Donald Trump has lauded China's role in securing a long-awaited ceasefire between Iran and its regional adversaries. The deal, which was brokered through Pakistani mediation efforts, lifted global markets and brought an end to weeks of tensions. However, the White House quickly shifted gears, threatening new tariffs on countries supplying weapons to Iran. Speaking at a press conference, Trump's spokeswoman Karoline Leavitt revealed that top-level conversations took place between U.S. officials and Chinese leaders, emphasizing the importance of their great working relationship. This sentiment was echoed by Trump himself, who expressed great respect for Chinese President Xi Jinping. The two leaders are scheduled to meet in Beijing next month. Meanwhile, Iranian authorities have refused to budge on their stance, keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed and warning that it could abandon the deal if Israeli strikes on Lebanon continue. Tehran's hardline stance has raised concerns about the long-term stability of the agreement. The ceasefire deal itself is seen as a significant development in the complex web of regional conflicts in the Middle East. With U.S.-Iran tensions simmering just below the surface, this fragile peace holds the potential to prevent further escalation. However, Trump's threat of new tariffs on Iranian arms suppliers has cast a shadow over the agreement's future viability. The implications for global markets and geopolitics remain uncertain as world leaders navigate these shifting sands. Following a surge in tensions between Iran and its regional adversaries, the situation is now shifting with indications of a potential ceasefire withdrawal. Breaking news from the Middle East, where tensions are escalating between Iran and Israel. According to reports, a security source has confirmed that Iran is considering withdrawing from its ceasefire agreement with Israel if strikes continue. The situation began when Israeli forces reportedly carried out strikes in Fars province, an area in southern Iran. It's believed that one of these strikes may have downed an Israeli drone, although details are still emerging on this incident. Meanwhile, Iranian news agency Tasnim has reported that Tehran is planning to respond to what it sees as Israeli violations of the ceasefire agreement. This could potentially lead to a withdrawal from the agreement, which has been in place since 2020 and was brokered by world powers including the US, EU, and Russia. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway for global oil supplies, has also come under threat. Reports suggest that ship and oil tanker traffic have been disrupted in the area, potentially due to increased tensions between Iran and Israel. This development matters because it highlights the ongoing instability in the region. The conflict between Iran and Israel is deeply rooted in historical and ideological differences, and any miscalculation could lead to a wider escalation of violence. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that tensions between Iran and Israel are at a boiling point, and the international community is watching with growing concern. Following concerns about global oil supplies, a recent report has sparked speculation about the strategic waterway's impact on the international energy market. The White House has denied reports that the United States is closing the Strait of Hormuz following a threat from President Trump. According to Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, these claims are false. Leavitt defended the president's rhetoric and actions, stating that they have led to significant results. President Trump had previously threatened to destroy Iran and said that a whole civilization will die tonight. He has also urged NATO allies to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is a critical waterway for international oil trade. However, so far, no agreement has been reached on this issue. The situation escalated after it was reported that the U.S. was considering withdrawing from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. Trump's decision would be seen as a significant shift in the global balance of power. Leavitt stated that the president may discuss this topic with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House today. Leavitt also confirmed that Vice President J.D. Vance will lead talks with Iran in Islamabad, along with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law. These negotiations are set to begin on Saturday morning local time. The U.S. is seeking to resolve tensions with Iran following a series of attacks on oil tankers in the region. The situation remains volatile, and the international community is watching closely for any developments. We're getting word that a potentially pivotal moment in U.S. foreign policy is about to unfold, as Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer prepares to vote. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has announced that the Senate will vote on a war powers resolution next week, aimed at curbing President Trump's authority over military operations in Iran. This move comes as the Trump administration has been touting progress on a ceasefire agreement with Tehran and is seeking to develop a longer-term peace deal. The resolution, which has garnered support from several Democrats, would require President Trump to notify Congress 60 days prior to any military action against Iran, exceeding $100 million in military equipment or services. Schumer argues that this measure is necessary to prevent the president from taking unilateral actions without congressional approval. Schumer's statement was made after a meeting with lawmakers on Capitol Hill, where discussions were held about the administration's plans for Iran. The Senate Minority Leader emphasized that Congress must be involved in decision-making regarding military operations, particularly when it comes to countries like Iran. This development marks a significant escalation in the debate over war powers and congressional oversight. With tensions between the U.S. and Iran on the rise, Schumer's resolution has gained traction among lawmakers who are concerned about the president's ability to take unilateral action without input from Congress. The vote is set to take place next week, and it remains to be seen whether Schumer's resolution will gain enough support to pass. The implications of this move are far-reaching, with some arguing that it would limit President Trump's flexibility in responding to emerging crises. Others see it as a necessary check on the president's power, ensuring that Congress plays a more active role in shaping U.S. foreign policy. In a complex web of diplomacy, the recent U.S.-Iran ceasefire raises questions about whether Tehran may have outmaneuvered former President Trump's strategy. The U.S. and Iran have agreed on a 2-week ceasefire, following intense diplomatic efforts led by Pakistan. The agreement came after days of escalating tensions in the Middle East, with both sides accusing each other of aggression. According to reports, the ceasefire is conditional, with the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz being a key component. However, Israel's position remains unclear, with airstrikes continuing on Beirut despite assurances from U.S. officials that Jerusalem had given its backing to the ceasefire agreement. The development marks a significant shift in the conflict, which has been escalating since the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani by U.S. forces last month. The Iranian military responded with missile strikes on U.S. and coalition targets, prompting Washington to retaliate with airstrikes on Iraqi sites holding U.S. personnel. Pakistan's diplomatic intervention is seen as a key factor in brokering the ceasefire. Islamabad has been engaged in talks between Tehran and Washington for weeks, and its willingness to mediate helped to reduce tensions. However, critics argue that Pakistan's interests are being exploited by both sides, with some accusing it of seeking to gain leverage over both Washington and Tehran. The ceasefire agreement is a mixed blessing, with both sides claiming victory. For the U.S., it represents a rare respite from the escalating conflict in the Middle East. For Iran, it marks a temporary reprieve from economic sanctions that have been crippling its economy. But for Israel, which remains on high alert despite assurances from Washington, the ceasefire may only be a temporary pause in the conflict. As international leaders breathe a sigh of relief over the tentative agreement, we're going to take a closer look at what's really in the ceasefire deal between the U.S. and Iran. In a surprise move, the United States and Iran have agreed to a ceasefire, marking a significant shift in tensions that have been escalating for months. The deal was brokered by former President Donald Trump, who announced the 11th-hour agreement on Twitter ahead of the Tuesday night deadline he had imposed on Iran. According to Iranian state media, Tehran has agreed to cease its defensive operations so long as U.S. and Israeli strikes are halted. However, the exact terms of the ceasefire remain unclear, with both sides having their own proposals for a fuller peace deal. The 10-point plan outlined by Iranian state media includes demands that appear to conflict with America's 15-point proposal, such as continued control over transit through the Strait of Hormuz and the complete withdrawal of U.S. combat forces from its bases across the region. The agreement has been met with skepticism by some, including Israeli officials, who have stated that they will continue to strike Lebanon despite the ceasefire. Meanwhile, new attacks were reported in Iran and across the Gulf on Wednesday, suggesting that the deal may not be as effective as initially thought. As the world watches, questions linger over whether this ceasefire will truly last. The implications of the deal are far-reaching, with potential consequences for global oil supplies, regional security, and even the future of nuclear nonproliferation. With the next 2 weeks set to mark a critical period in the negotiations, one thing is clear. Time will tell if this ceasefire holds water or remains just another fleeting promise. In conclusion, we've brought you the latest on the US-Iran ceasefire agreement. That's all for now. Thanks for watching our recap. If you want to stay up to date on the latest news, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. We'll continue to bring you breaking news and in-depth analysis. Until next time, goodbye.